Hello and welcome to Wagner's Tech Talk. Today we're going to take a look at the Raspberry Pi 4 Starter Max Kit with 8 gigs of RAM. That's awesome. Never thought we'd see the day. The kit comes with everything you see here, including that big 64 gig micro SD card. My friends over at CanaKit provided this unit for review. I'll place links down below for everything you see in this video. We are going to unbox and set up the kit, and of course load up a lot more stuff than I did in my last CanaKit video. Let's get started. Let's take a look at what's included in the kit. You get a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Awesome. A Samsung 64 gigabyte EVO Plus micro SD with Noobs pre-installed. A premium high gloss case with heat sinks and fan. 2 micro HDMI cables at 6 foot each. A CanaKit USB-C power supply at 3.5 amps. A USB card reader, and a quick start guide and GPIO reference. This is the box that I received earlier this week from CanaKit. Yes, it is the max 8 gigabytes of RAM on a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. First off, we have a Read Me First card. Next, we have a card letting you know if you have any issues, you can contact them, and they're very, very helpful. I've contacted them once. You have 2 micro HDMI to HDMI cables included with the kit. And yes, you can hook up 2 separate monitors to your Raspberry Pi 4. It has a Pi switch, USB-C, male to female. Very cool. That's something I didn't have in my previous kit that I really was hoping for. It comes with a 64 gig EVO Samsung micro SD card, as well as this high gloss Raspberry Pi case. Let's take a quick look at it. That looks nice. Notice the gap at the top there. Plenty of areas for air to flow in and out. That's fantastic. Should be able to keep it pretty darn cool. All right, let's see what we have here. We've got the fan. We're going to go over this in a little bit more detail in this video. And it includes heat sinks, aluminum heat sinks, and you have 3 of them. And this is the 3.5 amp USB-C power supply. Very cool. You also get this handy USB card reader. So basically you insert the micro SD card in there and you can plug it into any USB port. Now moving on to the Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigs of RAM. We'll go ahead and open this box up and check it out. It's hard to believe that the Raspberry Pi 4 now has 8 gigs of RAM when the very first model ever released only had 256 megs. That's crazy. Alright, let's see what else is in the box. Looks like some information about the proper handling of your Raspberry Pi. And the manual has been updated in this particular kit, so I highly recommend you check it out. It provides additional information about the heat sink placement as well as how to properly wire up the fan. Alright, let's quickly go over some of the ports and connections and stuff on the Raspberry Pi 4 Model B. This is your USB-C power, HDMI. Actually, you have 2 HDMIs. Your AV output. On the far left, you have 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.0 ports at gigabit Ethernet. And on this side, these are your GPIO header pins. This is where we're going to hook up the fan. On the far right over here, you have your display port, your camera port, and if we flip it over, this is where your micro SD card goes. Alright, so let's go ahead and install the heat sinks. The large one goes to the CPU, and the rectangular heatsink goes to the RAM, and the smallest of them all goes to the USB chip. Now we'll go ahead and install the heat sinks. So go ahead and grab your heatsink and peel the protective cover off and just gently affix it to the chip, just like so, and give it a nice little push. And we'll go ahead and do that for the RAM chip as well. Just peel the backing off, like so, and affix it to the chip. And we'll do the same for the USB. And give it a nice little push. Now let's go ahead and install the Raspberry Pi 4 into the case. So you just remove the top cover and gently separate the two pieces here, and you want the bottom piece. Make sure you have no micro SD card in the slot at this point. Go ahead and slide it in and make sure everything lines up properly. And then we can go ahead and take this midsection and snap it in. Very cool. It looks like everything's lined up properly. Now let's go ahead and install the fan. There are two different ways you can wire it up. One is for high performance, which means it's going to be louder. You can put pin 6 to the black and pin 4 to the red. Or for a quieter operation, you can use pin 1 with less cooling. We're going to go ahead, in this case, go ahead and plug in the black wire into pin 6 and the red one into pin 4. This will give us the best cooling option for the kit. And then you just gently reattach the case. Then you slide in your micro SD card. It's already got noobs pre-installed, so there's nothing that you need to image. Now we'll take the Pi switch and go ahead and plug the USB-C power into it. And the opposite end, we'll just plug in the USB-C port on the Raspberry Pi 4. And now we'll plug in the HDMI to the port nearest the power, like so. And the other HDMI end goes into your TV or monitor. You will need a keyboard or mouse. It's not included in this particular kit. In this case, I'm using the official Raspberry Pi keyboard and mouse. And it has a nice little USB port where you can plug in the mouse. Alright, now I'm turning on the unit. Now we can move on to setting up the software. As I mentioned briefly in the previous section, there's nothing that you have to re-image to your card. Everything is pretty much ready to go for you. However, I do want to make you aware of a few things. First off, Raspbian has been renamed to Pi OS, or Raspberry Pi OS. And there are two versions. There's a 32-bit, which is the one that we're going to install in this video. But if you go over to the forums, there is a 64-bit version of the Pi OS that you may want to experiment with as well. It is currently beta, so definitely keep that in mind. Now let's move back on to our Raspberry Pi that is currently being booted. This is what you'll see when you first power on your Pi. We'll go down here and change the language to US English in my case. And go to the Wi-Fi networks and select your SSID. In my case, it's Lucas24. And then we'll just simply enter our password and connect. And you'll get a larger list of more operating systems that you may wish to install. But in the case of this video, we're going to go with Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. So we'll select that and click install and say yes. Now this process is going to take quite a while, probably about 15 minutes. And once it's done, click the OK to reboot. Once rebooted, you are ready to start setting it up. So we'll hit next. I'm going to select my time zone. And I'm in the Central Time, so I'll select Chicago. And I'm going to select Use English Language and hit next. And I'm going to fast forward this. You can change your password if you'd like. And then in my case, I did see a black border, so I'm going to check this. Next, select your Wi-Fi name or SSID and hit next. Enter your password, hit next, and it'll connect up to your network. Hit next once again, and it's going to check for any updated software and install it. It will take a while. I did fast forward through this. Next, go ahead and click the restart, and your Pi will restart again. And now the Raspberry Pi OS is completely installed, and now we get to make a few changes here. First off, I'm going to go to Preferences and move down to the screen configuration. And then I'm going to go to the Configure menu, go to Screens, HDMI 1, and select 1920 by 1080. This will change my screen resolution from 720p to 1080p, which looks a lot sharper here in the video, so I thought that would make sense. Alright, so now we are going to go to the accessories and bring up the Task Manager and take a close-up here of the amount of memory that's being consumed, 155 meg. Not much at all. I think we should change that. What do you think? First off, I'm going to go to Add and Remove Programs, and I'm going to load up a bunch of programs here for our testing. And here we go. And after installing a bunch of apps, I just want to double check where we are on the memory. And again, we are right around 160 meg. Great. Now I'm going to execute a command in the shell window that's going to periodically let us know what the temperature is of the CPU. You can take a look at that in the lower right at any point. I'm going to go to wagnerstechtalk.com/opencade and download OpenCade so we can load it up in Blender. That's one of the apps that I loaded earlier. And in case you aren't aware, OpenCade is a free 3D printable case so you can make an arcade controller. And it's extendable. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Anyway, our temperature is currently at 47 degrees. And this is what the case looks like. We'll load up some more stuff. Our goal here is to just load up a bunch of stuff, and we'll see how much RAM we can consume and what type of applications that we can load up and still use somewhat effectively. Alright, so the CPU is around 4%. We've got about 700 meg, 800 meg. We're loading up a whole bunch of stuff here, guys. Actually, 11 Chromium tabs. So we're up to over 1 gig now. And we're going to go ahead and load up LibreOffice. Office Writer. And we'll type in a little something. Basically, we're just trying to stress the Pi 4 with the 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now I'm going to load up OpenShot, put a video in there, and go ahead and export it. This will help consume a little bit more memory. And we're just going to get tab happy and just load up a bunch of Wagner's Tech Talk links, YouTube. We're up to 2 gigs. We're going to keep going, guys. Let's see. Now we've got LibreCalc and Base loaded up. Got Minecraft going. Let's see. We're up to 3 gigs. We're loading up Inkspace, loading up a high-res image here, doing some more stuff. Now we're going into BlueJ, which is a Java IDE. And I'm fast-forwarding it through this because I'm sure you would want to sit here for the hour or so that I had to in order to make this video. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and load up some Magpie magazines. As a matter of fact, we're going to load 63 of them in PDF file format. This is a good stopping point. We hit 6 gigabytes and the max temperature was 63 degrees Celsius. Awesome. Really enjoying this Pi. If you are looking to upgrade any prior Raspberry Pi or you're new to the Raspberry Pi scene, then I would highly recommend the Raspberry Pi 4 Starter Max Kit by CanaKit. Thanks again to CanaKit for sending me this unit. This kit is going to get a lot of use in future videos. I highly recommend it. I anticipate the demand will be high for the 8 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 4. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button. If you want to see more from Wagner's Tech Talk, please click the subscribe. And with that, I shall talk to you very soon.